I bid you good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins. Um, Kind of feeling somewhat down. Been having a good Christmas and good time with the family and stuff, but came across a few articles today that kind of left me kind of feeling under the weather emotionally, and it's about a place where I grew up in my younger years and went to high school and stuff, and seeing what's going on there and getting firsthand correspondence discussion with people from there in the last couple of hours. Thank God sometimes, for Facebook for this, being able to contact people without having their contact information. Facebook's there, and I kind of thank Facebook for kind of that. But let me take my glasses off. I was just feeling kind of emotionally kind of hurt about this. I don't know. I'm going to kind of read this to you guys to kind of give you guys a little insight on what's going on. So this is the good part of it. This is like, I'm liking this. CP raises millions for food bank during the 2019 holiday train tour. This is really nice. Canadian Pacific announced Tuesday that more than Canada 2.49 million was raised, and 238,000 pounds of food were collected for the local food banks and shelves during the 21st annual CP Holiday Trains North America tour, which wrapped up earlier this month. Although the 2019 numbers are primarily CP estimates, the holiday train has raised more than 16.7 million and collected 4.7 million pounds of food since its inaugural journey in 1999. Parenting with local food banks to raise awareness for hunger-related issues in the cornerstone that enables the success of the holiday train. So, parenting with local food banks to raise awareness for hunger-related issues. I could have sworn last time I checked we were in a first world country, or we were in a booming economy, and I'm not understanding. It's not computing for me what's going on here. It's actually, if anything, it's leaving me pinned by a chain of reasoning. It's now let me get to the point of why I'm making this video for you guys tonight. And what's kind of leaving me under kind of feeling under the bridge in the rain. Now, it's from the province of Ontario, and it's happening everywhere. Every Commonwealth country is dealing with this, but when it hits your old school, your old stomping ground, it's pretty tough. Food banks, Ontario working class joining the line. This is from less than 3 weeks ago. This is very important. What are they people working for if they can't afford to buy food? See, this is the problem we're getting into now. So, what is happening, guys? Where is the fracture? Where did it all go wrong? Why are we in this position? When I was in my early teens, I still remember my mid-teens when I got my driver's license when I was 16. I just remember everyone being so prosperous. You never heard of anyone going to the food bank. I mean, it was just like, I don't know. Where did it go wrong? Is it laziness? Is it I don't think it's that. I think every human being has it in them to be productive. I think every human being has it in them to want to create out of nothing, to build, And I've brought this up many times on the channel. We used to build wealth. We used to create opportunity ourselves. But now it's gotten to a point where all we're doing is debt building. All we're doing is driving ourselves further into debt. I read an article a few months back for you guys on my channel about how in Australia, food banks are actually making arrangements with homeowners that own their homes because their house broke to get to the food bank and get food so they could pay their mortgage on time because they can't afford to buy food. And people are massaged into this next, we're just in the turn of the century right now. We're going into the century now. We're going deeper into the century. And people are being more and more massaged into, I guess, believing or how would we say it? Thinking that this is just what it is, and we're just all falling on hard times. I just never seen this like at this level before. I'm not understanding where it all went wrong. Yes, we sold our jobs out to overseas. Yes, we're being sold out to foreign investors. Yes, but it's gotten to a point where you need to take a step back and realistically look at how capitalism has failed us. I truly believe in capitalism and a capitalistic society. I do believe in capitalism because if wages stay in line with inflation, it's fine. I was talking to an older gentleman at the store, and he said in 81, 82, everybody at the end of the year will get an announcement on how much more money they'd be making starting the next year because of inflation or because of the price of stuff. So every, I think it's the day before New Year's party at the company he was working for, they would all sit down, and he worked for a factory, and they'd all have a seat. They'll all have a little bit of an afternoon snack. They'd usually order Kentucky Fried Chicken. That was back in the day. And they would all talk about the shop manager would come in and say, okay, guys, we went over all the numbers and our profits and blah, blah, blah. We're going to have to increase your pay by 2.2% starting in first or second pay of the cycle. The payroll will kick in with your adjustments to inflation. And every year, and they stopped doing it in 86, he said. So wages have not been keeping up with inflation. But this is very hurtful when you see your own people just not getting by with the basic necessities. And that's becoming more and more of a fear for me. We're seeing a lot of people in Eastern Canada jump ship and just return back to Europe. Canada had a massive immigration wave from 1972 to 1988 from Europe. Then after that, they just closed off European immigration, like completely shut it down. But a lot of people that did come thought they were here for life and just starting new life. And I spoke to an older lady that I knew personally growing up when I lived in Ontario, in Toronto. And I knew her sons and stuff. You know, we still talk from time to time on Facebook. And she watches the show occasionally, and she told me that basically she's going back to Italy to be with her sister and her brother. And her husband, passed away, unfortunately, and the kids are struggling. Her kids that are in their 30s and 40s are completely struggling. They're having a really tough time. A lot of them have, completed their college training and university and tradesman work and all that stuff. But, you fall on bad marriages, bad times. And they're basically heading back to Italy in March to move into her dad's house, her father's house that they left the family, and the house is empty. And her brother says, just move into the house. There's like 4 bedrooms. Just move in, maybe settle down a bit, get everything organized, and then have your kids and their families to slowly come back to Italy. And that's what's happening. You're starting to see a huge surge of people applying. they're applying their kids. Like my children are Portuguese citizens. They're dual citizenship, right? So if they decide they want to study in Europe and or go into the Portuguese Commonwealth, they don't have too much of a problem. If they want to be an engineer on an oil rig, they could go to Angola and live a good life, or Mozambique, or they could go in the agriculture, okay, or the lumber business in Brazil, right? They could do it, But I'm really concerned, like, why is Canada transforming to this? Like, anyways, the annual report published by the organization Feed Ontario, formerly the Ontario Association of Food Banks, represents 130 food banks and 1,100 affiliated food relief agencies. Their Hunger Report 2019 notes that over 510,000 people needed food banks in the province, with over 3 million visits during 1 year period from April 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2019. This represents an increase of over 8,800 more people from the previous year. So, precarious work is impacting those at the beginning and at the end of their careers. So 25 to 29-year-olds experiencing 116% increase in the part-time work since 1976. 55 to 59-year-olds experienced a 44% increase in part-time work since 1976. 27% increase in the proportion of food bank clients with employment income over the last 3 years. 88% increase in the proportion of food bank clients who have had a recent job loss over the last 2 years. And the sad part is people lose their jobs all the time now. It's nothing new to jump into 25, 30 careers in a lifetime now. And now they're also massaging the younger people into believing that, it's contract. No one takes you on permanently. You got no pension. That's what they're trying to... But no. My dad worked, 38 years for his company before he retired. My mom worked for the one company she did when she arrived to Canada. The same, you know what I'm saying? I jumped around a bit, right? But I moved around a lot too, right? Benefits, social assistance changes, 38.1%. Low wages, delayed wages, or not enough hours, 10.3%. Relocation, immigration, or moving, 10.7%. Unexpected expense, 10.6%. See, people used to save for a rainy day. Unemployment, recently lost job, 12.4%. Sickness, medical expense, 5.9%. Homeless, 4%. Debt, 2.6%. Unexpected housing, 1.2%. Benefits, social assistance, 38.1%. And family breakup, 1.3%. And then figure of the highest level of education completed. Some elementary and high school, 30%. High school diploma, 32%. College diploma, 13%. Some post-secondary, 9.5%. University degree, 10.2%. Trade certificate professional, 2%. Master's degree, PhD, 1.9%. Guys, this is real. And I'm not trying to, spiel or spread the gloom and doom. I'm not trying to be like a whole AMTV. Guys, the world's going to end in 2 hours. I'm not trying to pull any of that, okay? I really am not. We need to get to the root of this problem. We understand we sold our jobs out. We're not going to get them back. We can't sit here crying over what we could have done. We can't spend half our lives worrying. It's who we put in power that's been doing this. We sold out our biggest mines. No Canadian hires. We sold out everything. Canada's selling out its gold mines and everything to foreign entities. What is happening? How is this being allowed to happen? Ontarioans with full and part-time jobs increasingly using food banks report. So for people that don't know, Ontario is in central East Canada. It borders Manitoba and Quebec. And it borders the state of New York, and it also borders the state of Michigan. One of the major cities in Ontario is Toronto, and surrounding areas is called the GTA. So people watching this in other parts of the Commonwealth, it's called the Greater Toronto Area. And a majority of the population of Canada, not the majority, but per capita population, the more people live in Ontario than any other province per capita. Ontarians with full and part-time jobs increasingly using food banks as report.
Well, a harsh reality as we head towards the Christmas and holiday season, more and more Ontario residents need assistance from the food bank. More importantly, some are full and part-time employees who can't make ends meet.
Yeah.
Michael Maidment is checking poll.
No exception.
See if we can get some
be
here.
it rent, be it food, be it anything else, these costs are putting pressure on people, even if they're working, and causing them to turn to a food bank.
So what needs to be done to stem the tide, or is that even possible?
Well, we know that we have to fix social assistance. I mean, a great number of the people that we serve at food banks here in Ottawa, right across the province, are receiving social assistance. We know that an individual on social assistance here in Ottawa would receive about $825 a month, yet the average rent for a bachelor apartment in the city of Ottawa is just over $880 a month.
That's actually good for a bachelor, because if they're in the city of Toronto, a bachelor is, I think, like $1,600. So that's actually, so this is what California is dealing with right now. You see, a lot of the people in California that are on pensions, military pensions, vets, all kinds of people getting disability and stuff. If the rent was $800 a month, let's say, for example, in California for a bachelor, you wouldn't have this massive homeless situation, because a lot of them could live off their benefits or whatever they're getting for support. But because the average, then that's why you have 47,000 homeless people in LA County. 47,000. And for every homeless, there's 3 empty apartments owned by foreign investing that will never rent it out to nobody. So that's another problem why California is seeing a mass exodus. People with jobs increasingly in need of food bank services report. Feed Ontario reports 70% of food bank users on some form of assistance. 70%, and the other 30% aren't. They work full time. So we went over this. We went over the numbers here. Helping Hand. Food bank noticed increase of working poor users in Bradford, Ontario. Feed the Ontario state's working food banks increase by 27%. Helping Food Bank in Bradford West, Gwimblebury, has found more and more employment residents are using its local food bank. And this is just the start, guys. People being employed, you know what? That's nice, but I just remember, I know I'm living in 1982 like Uncle Rico. I don't know if you guys watched the movie Napoleon Dynamite. I know I'm stuck in 1982. But things are changing. I know people change. I know we change. We stop trusting each other. We start looking for reasons not to trust each other. I get that, right? But food insecurity feeds need for food banks. A recent survey of Eastern Ontario Health Unit EOHU shows that the cost is more to put food on the table in Prescott Russell and Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry continues as it did in 2018. The survey revealed that it costs $919 per month for a family of 4 with healthy food. So this is still lowball. I don't pay this much for food for my family of 4. We pay about $1,400 a month for food. I do get my stuff from like farmers markets and the local butcher, right? But interesting. Trend of working poor sees rise in food bank use in Caledon across Ontario. Again, more and more and more people are relying on food banks. One cold night in early December, a homeless man came across an unlocked region of Peel Truck near the dump of Charleston Side Road, McLaren Road. He spent the night in the vehicle, sheltering from the winter weather. In the morning, 2 Caledon OPP officers found him. The officers did a medical assessment, check for hypothermia, and mental health check. Constable Ian said, in cases like this one, police will direct the person to a nearby shelter in Brampton and Mississauga, but police can't force someone to get assistance. It's unusual to see a homeless person in seemingly affluent Caledon, but poverty lies just below the surface, and it's not because people don't have work. A disturbing trend across the provinces shows that in spite of Ontario's low unemployment rate, the province's food banks continue to see high levels of use by the working poor. This is according to the annual hunger report by Feed Ontario that evaluates the cost of poverty in Ontario. This year, the study found that there were 27% increase in the number of individuals with employment income accessing food banks over the last 3 years. And these are the same numbers we went over here. The rise of working poor puts pressure on Vaughan food banks. New hunger report showing the numbers. We went over those earlier. Barrie Food Bank sees record number as usage hits all-time high. Barrie, Ontario, that's where our friend Mario DeCetis is from. And again, something is off, but it's hard for Barrie Food Bank here. Peter Sundberg pinpoint exactly why his organization is seeing a record number of visitors in recent months. In October, there were 3,000 visits to the food bank. The number dipped slightly to 3,200 in November, but the number in July and August visits jumped nearly 500 when compared to the same 2 months period in 2018. The food bank had averaged about 2,800 monthly visits for the last 2 years, and Sundberg said, "This is." Then it all ties to the economy, right? Apparently, we have a booming economy. Canadian economy posts biggest monthly job loss since the financial crisis. We discussed this. This was on December 6th. We had a massive 71,000 jobs lost. It's almost all private sector that funds the public sector. The government jobs are funded by these jobs. What are they going to do, guys? Well, we know what they're going to do. Their old magic trick, the oldest tool in the toolbox, the sharpest tool in their shed. What is it? Raise taxes. Find a way to get more from us. And that's why people are losing confidence.
There is a potentially worrying new snapshot of the economy tonight, and it has to do with the number of Canadians looking for work. The unemployment rate rose to 5.9% last month after more than 71,000 jobs were lost. That is the biggest monthly plunge since the financial crisis a decade ago. And it comes after most economists had actually predicted a gain. BNN Bloomberg's John Ehrlichman reports.
Yeah, so this was on Bloomberg. We covered this ourselves too here in on the channel. We looked at this, how the job...
Where you really get worried is when you start to see hiring freezes, pay freezes, or mass layoffs. And we're not seeing any of those indicators right now.
Experts say Canada's economy could ultimately depend on the U.S., where today it was revealed a whopping 266,000 jobs were created last month.
That starts to send positive signals for the implications for the Canadian economy because we are integrated along North American supply chains.
But our problem is our prime minister goes down to the United States and makes fun of the American president. It's like, you got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. I'm really happy that CP's been doing this and keeping people's hunger. I got to get the Raven on the show to maybe tell us a little bit about this, on what is happening with this, and he's not on right now. I would call him right now, but I think it's late there. It's past midnight. But I kind of wanted to throw this out there for you guys. I really did. I really wanted to let you guys know. This is my old stomping ground. You know what I'm saying? I used to, I got my driver's license there. I went to high school there in Ontario. Just the last thing on my mind would something like this happen. Like something like this. I'm lost for words. I don't even know what to tell you guys anymore. I spoke to a few people from Ontario, and they told me, look, Mike, I know you're on YouTube. I do watch you from time to time. Sorry I don't comment. We went to school together. I went through a bad divorce, blah, 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 or whatever. And everyone's like, not going through a hard time. They're living a decent life. They're not out begging on the streets. It's not that. It's just it all went wrong. Something went wrong somewhere, somehow. I mean, and then now with this disconnection between people, and people not trusting each other anymore. Times change, but people lose faith in each other. It's disappointing. It's very disappointing. I don't know if you guys remember that that song, Electric Avenue. We're going to rock down to Electric Avenue. The song is kind of politically motivated about people dealing in multiplication, but they still can't feed everyone. Talking about the mismanagement of funds. Just mass mismanagement. What's happening? Why do we sell out? What do we do now? We stop thinking about what we could have or should have done because we could spend half our lives on that. We need to find out how to re-regulate and put things back into regulation like it was. To put things back into proper... Wages need to keep to catch up to inflation. They're staggering. Years, almost 2-3 decades behind. Something needs to happen. I want you guys to think about this. It's happening all over. It's happening in New South Wales. It's happening in Welland and Auckland. It's happening in Christchurch. It's happening in London. It's happening in Manchester. Did you remember that article on my channel I read for you guys? How there's more food banks in London than there are McDonald's now? And I think Starbucks and a couple of other restaurants combined. That's how bad it's getting, guys. But we sold out. But how do we get it back? Do we go somewhere else and recolonize or find an island and then all move there and trying to fix it up? You know, is there something that we could do? Like, I mean, we're losing a lot of good talent to America. They're keeping their lid sealed on that. A lot of Canadians are moving to America. Then we got a lot of Canadians that have had their time here and said, you know what? If I'm going to a food bank, I'm going back to Europe. So, this is what's concerning me. This is what should be concerning a lot. I have 3 children and I can't stand or stomach or watch them see, you know. Anyways, just tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.